One of Cincinnati's biggest sponsors just showed up courtside for Alex Eala, and the stadium erupted like it was Manila. But here's the real shocker. This wasn't just any sponsor. This was a moment that proved the Eala effect has officially reached corporate America. Western and Southern Financial Group, the longest-running cornerstone sponsor of the Cincinnati Open since 2002, sent a top executive to watch the Filipina Sensations match. The stadium, packed with Philippine flags and deafening chants, erupted when the announcement was made. It's a sign that Eala's impact has transcended the court, and the sport's biggest sponsors are taking notice. Is Alex Eala becoming the most marketable athlete in tennis? It wasn't just about tennis. It was about a message. And when the longest-running sponsor of the Cincinnati Open sent a top executive to watch Alex Eala's match, that message was heard loud and clear. Western and Southern Financial Group has been the backbone of the Cincinnati Open since 2002. As one of the tournament's 6 cornerstone partners, along with Procter & Gamble, Kroger, and Credit One Bank, Western and Southern has seen generations of tennis legends pass through the Lindner Family Tennis Center. They've watched Federer, Nadal, and Serena Williams pack stadiums. They've seen the sport evolve. But what they were witnessing in 2026 was something entirely different. The Eala effect had reached corporate America. When the Western and Southern executive took his seat courtside, the stadium erupted. Philippine flags filled every section. The chants of Laban, Alex echoed through the stands with a ferocity that had become the signature of the Eala Mania phenomenon. This wasn't just a tennis match. It was a movement, and the sponsors had taken notice. The statistics behind the phenomenon are staggering. In a tournament featuring Aryna Sabalenka, Elena Rybakina, Coco Gauff, and Iga Swiatek, it was the 21-year-old from Quezon City who was commanding the most attention. Tournament officials confirmed that ticket inquiries for her matches outpaced those of the top seeds, forcing organizers to move her to center court and sending ticket prices soaring into the thousands. One tournament director confirmed that fans were shelling out upwards of $1,000 on the secondary market just to get a seat. For Western and Southern, Eala represents more than just a player. She represents a new market. The Filipino diaspora has proven to be a passionate, loyal, and growing consumer base. When Eala plays, the world stops. More than 8,000 people packed a Manila arena to watch her Wimbledon fourth-round match. Nearly 1.2 million fans viewed her matches on YouTube. The Eala Mania phenomenon has turned every tournament into a cultural event, and sponsors are eager to be part of it. The executive's presence courtside was a symbol of that recognition. Western and Southern, which had sponsored the tournament for more than 2 decades, knew exactly what it was doing when it showed up for Eala. It was signaling to the Filipino community, "We see you, we value you, and we want to be part of your celebration." What would you do if one of the biggest sponsors in tennis showed up just to watch you play? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would stay focused on the tennis. She would let the phenomenon unfold around her. And she would keep proving that the girl with ruffled socks and light-up shoes had earned every single fan who packed those stadiums, and every sponsor who wanted to be part of her journey. Because she knew that the sponsor in the stands wasn't just about corporate dollars, it was about a community that had finally been seen. The Western and Southern executive didn't just show up for a tennis match. He showed up to witness the future of his own investment. And the $260 million stage that Ben Navarro built was finally getting the star it deserved. When Navarro purchased the Cincinnati Open from the USTA in 2022, he acquired one of the most valuable properties in sports: a license for one of the 6 combined top-level events in tennis outside the Grand Slams. The billionaire, who made his fortune in debt collection and credit facilities, had a choice. Charlotte, a growing city triple the size of Cincinnati, had a proposal. Chicago, a huge tennis market, held obvious potential. Instead, Navarro doubled down on Mason, Ohio, a city of just 36,000 people, best known for roller coasters. The gamble was unprecedented. Navarro invested $260 million into renovating and expanding the Lindner Family Tennis Center, covering around half the cost himself. The tournament grounds grew from 20 acres to over 40 acres. 13 new courts were added, including a 2,300-seat sunken stadium, a 56,000-square-foot clubhouse, a 53,000-square-foot indoor tennis center, and an operations center transformed the facility into one of the most player-friendly venues on tour. We looked at every option, Bob Moran, the tournament director and an executive at Navarro's investment company, said. Once we put a very little investment in 2024 and then saw some dramatic difference from what it was the year before, things started to shift. Okay, we can definitely do it here. The players agreed. Aryna Sabalenka, the world #1, had seen the transformation firsthand. I first came in here. I was like, what's going on? Where am I? She said. It took me a little while to feel comfortable in the previous venue, and now we're in a completely different tournament. Venus Williams, who had returned to Cincinnati for the first time since 2023, called it tennis paradise. But the real test was about to come. The tournament that had grown from 1 week to 12 days, from 56 player draws to 96, was ready for its new star. And as Eala prepared for her Cincinnati debut, she was about to become the centerpiece of the most ambitious tennis project in American history. What would you do if a $260 million stadium was built for players like you? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would step onto the court and prove that the investment was worth every dollar. Because she knew that the sponsors weren't just watching her. They were watching the future of tennis unfold before their eyes. And that future looked remarkably Filipina. The Western and Southern executive didn't just show up for a tennis match. He showed up to witness the most passionate, loyal, and rapidly growing fan base in tennis, the Filipino wave. And the numbers behind that wave are staggering. The Filipino diaspora, which spans over 10 million people worldwide, has turned every Alex Eala match into a celebration of identity. In Toronto, 12,500-seat Sobe Stadium was packed to capacity with Philippine flags, chants of "Laban, Alex," drowning out everything else. In Washington, ticket sales rose by at least 80%. And now, in Cincinnati, fans are shelling out upwards of $1,000 on the secondary market just to watch her play Citation General. The economic impact of the Eala effect is undeniable. The Philippine Tennis Association estimates that racket sales have spiked 66% in the past year, with parents scrambling to get their children onto tennis courts that have become nearly impossible to book. Decathlon Philippines has been forced to redesign store displays and social media content to keep up with the wave of new players. The country is even building a new national tennis center with an 8,000-capacity stadium, driven largely by this excitement generated by Eala's success. For Western and Southern, the opportunity is clear. The company has been the tournament's longest-running cornerstone partner since 2002. It has seen generations of tennis legends pass through the Lindner Family Tennis Center. But it has never seen a fan base like this. One that turns a tennis match into a cultural event, that fills stadiums with flags and chants, that travels across continents just to watch one player compete. The comparison to other tennis superstars is telling. Emma Raducanu's commercial value spiked after her 2021 US Open win, but her appeal to the Chinese market was a key factor in her sponsorship deals. Eala's appeal is even more expansive. She represents not just the Philippines, but a global diaspora of over 10 million people who are hungry to see their culture reflected on the world's biggest stages. When a sponsor like Western and Southern shows up courtside, it's not just about the tennis. It's about tapping into a movement that is rewriting the economics of the sport. And the Filipino community is at the center of it. The Western and Southern executive sitting courtside wasn't just watching a tennis match. He was watching one of the most marketable athletes in the world. And the brands that had invested in her early were about to see the biggest returns of their careers. From a Sampaguita hair tie at Wimbledon to a sponsorship portfolio that now includes Nike, Babolat, Globe, BPI, and Milo, Eala's commercial value has exploded alongside her rankings. The journey began when Eala signed her first endorsement deal at just 8 years old, as an ambassador for Filipino telecommunications company, Globe. By the time she was a teenager, she had added French tennis brand Babolat and, in 2019, signed with Nike. The swoosh that would become synonymous with her rise. In 2022, she added Filipino bank BPI to her roster, but it was Nike's cultural investment that set the partnership apart. For her Wimbledon debut in 2025, Nike gifted Eala with a custom-made hair tie featuring a sampaguita blossom, the national flower of the Philippines. The gesture was hailed as a powerful example of authentic brand storytelling, and it was followed by a limited edition shirt designed by Filipino artist Georgina Camus. In February 2026, she became a brand ambassador for Milo. The Eala effect has made her one of the most valuable athletes in women's tennis. Jean-Christophe Verbourg, Babolat's global sports marketing director, described her appeal simply. I would say it's the energy she has, the smile. Every single tournament she's playing, it's crazy how many people around are watching her. Her success is more than athletic, it's symbolic, social, and marketable. The comparison to Li Na is already being made. Li won the 2014 Australian Open and became a global icon, inspiring the next generation of Asian tennis stars. Eala is following a similar trajectory, a player who has broken barriers for her country and become a symbol of pride for millions. Babolat, which sponsored Li, sees Eala as their most visible female player since the Chinese legend. The Western and Southern executives' presence courtside was a recognition of that commercial power. The company, which has sponsored the tournament since 2002, knew exactly what it was doing. It was signaling to the Filipino community. We see you, we value you, and we want to be part of your celebration. What would you do if the world's biggest brands were fighting to put their names next to yours? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would stay grounded, she would keep winning, and she would prove that the girl with ruffled socks and light-up shoes had earned every single sponsor who wanted to be part of her journey. Because she knew that the brands weren't just investing in a player, they were investing in a movement. And that movement was just getting started. Majuan Bon, the Western and Southern executive, didn't just show up for a tennis match. He showed up to witness something that corporate America had been waiting for. The arrival of a global sports icon who could bridge cultures and markets like no athlete before her. And the numbers prove that the Eala effect is reshaping the economics of women's tennis. Jean-Christophe Verbourg, Babolat's global sports marketing director, put it simply. I would say it's the energy she has, the smile. Every single tournament she's playing, it's crazy how many people around are watching her. Eala is the most visible female player using Babolat since Li Na, the first Asian player to win a Grand Slam. The comparison to Li Na is instructive. Li's 2011 French Open victory was watched by more than 116 million people in China alone. She won the 2014 Australian Open and became a global icon, inspiring the next generation of Chinese tennis stars. Eala is following a similar trajectory, a player who has broken barriers for her country and become a symbol of pride for millions. But Eala's appeal is even more expansive. She represents not just the Philippines, but a global diaspora of over 10 million people who are hungry to see their culture reflected on the world's biggest stages. The Eala effect has already sparked a tennis boom in the Philippines. Racket sales spiked 66% in the past year. Decathlon Philippines has been forced to redesign store displays and social media to keep up. The country is building a new national tennis center with an 8,000-capacity stadium, driven largely by the excitement generated by Eala's success. As Philippine Tennis Association Executive Director Tanet Mendoza put it, apart from just bringing in people to watch, she's actually got people to play. For Western and Southern, the opportunity is clear. The company has sponsored the tournament since 2002 and is now one of 6 cornerstone partners. It has seen generations of tennis legends pass through the Lindner Family Tennis Center. But it has never seen a fan base like this. one that turns a tennis match into a cultural event, that fills stadiums with flags and chants, that travels across continents just to watch one player compete. The executive's presence courtside was a signal to the tennis world. The sport's biggest sponsors are taking notice of the Filipino wave. And as Eala continues her historic run, the brands that invest in her story will be the ones that define the next era of tennis marketing. What would you do if you had become the biggest draw in tennis without winning a Grand Slam? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would stay focused on the game. She would let the phenomenon unfold around her. And she would keep proving that the girl with ruffled socks and light-up shoes had earned every single fan who packed those stadiums, and every sponsor who wanted to be part of her journey. Because she knew that the sponsor in the stands wasn't just about corporate dollars. It was about a community that had finally been seen.